thank you for that introduction. I'll speak louder. If I'm not speaking loud enough, let me know. If you fall asleep, let me know. So what I'm going to do is called the challenge of change. If you read my introduction, this is what we're going to be kind of referring to. I'm going to give you I might as well let you know, okay, I'm not an IT person. So this is my presentation. It's very basic, it's very simple, and even may have a mistake or two, but I'm not an IT guy. So where I started was, I do work with computers. I've worked with computers for about 15 years, and it's not just writing letters. I do a kind of a training. It's called biofeedback, and I do brain mapping, and it uses computers. And I started 15 years ago, and in trying to install this stuff 15 years ago, we stayed up all night, and I had an IT guy in. So I have a taste of it. Where I really got involved in this area of IT and was a couple of years ago. I did a pilot project. That's my claim to fame. I did a pilot project at Google. And that's where I got involved in the Agile. When I walked into Google and I saw guys walking around in t-shirts and shorts and floppies and stuff, and they had smiles on their faces, I thought it was so cool. It was like a breath of fresh air to me. And I had to know more. And so what I did was, I think it was about a year and a half ago, I decided I'm going to start an organization called New. Because I have to learn about this new stuff. I have to learn about this Scrum stuff and the Kanban stuff and all these terms. I had to learn about this stuff. So I met with a couple of other guys, another guy who was an IT fellow, and we started this organization. And then I met somebody who was also an IT Scrum guy, Peter Stevens, and we started talking. And Peter, he invited me to this thing called, he was going to meet with a bunch of people, and it was called Styffe, in Styffe, and talk about all kinds of stuff, about IT stuff, and that's where I ended up. So I've been learning a lot. I've read a gazillion books, and it's been quite a journey. And just last week I was up in Tallinn, at the LES 2012 conference. And it was another IT conference, and we had some fantastic speakers there. It just blew me away, and I'm looking forward to the change that's happening now in the business world. We're going from the old waterfall approach, command and control, over to a new approach, and I think it's exciting, and we have to keep it going. What we're going to be talking about in some way today is perspectives. Now, some of you have maybe heard this story. I guess it was some time ago. I was with my wife in a restaurant, and there was a woman in the restaurant, and I happened to notice, and I was looking at her, and my wife noticed, and the woman was doing a lot of drinking. And my wife said, John, who is she? I said, well, she's an old girlfriend of mine. And when we broke up, she hasn't stopped drinking since. And my wife said, well, that's funny. I heard that she hasn't stopped drinking because she's been celebrating for the whole time. So it's about perspectives. That's what I want to talk about. It's about a state of mind and how we look at things. Now, what I want to ask you, and you can be pretty honest here. Has anybody gone to work, let's say having the flu? Anybody been sick when they've gone to work? Oh, only a few have gone to work sick? Okay, all right, come on, stick up your hands. Let's relax. There you go. Look, everybody's gone to work sick. Okay. Has anybody gone to work hungover? Wow, now we're really getting honest. Has anybody gone to work or have to work with somebody they really don't like? Has anybody had to work with the opposite gender and have a difficulty understanding them? Well, everybody was careful on that answer. Ooh, where do I go on here? Let me see, what else have we got? Has anybody had to work with an old guy or a young guy, and they just don't seem to get it? There you go, we got the old guys, the young guys. I thought it would be the young guys really be sticking up their hands. What I'm trying to say to you is that we're all different. We all have different perspectives, the way we look at things. We all have different minds. We're all different. And I just wonder, how do we survive? How do we survive when we have so many differences? We go into an office and we have so many differences. I just don't understand. How can we survive? How do we produce things? How do we get along? It's amazing that we accomplish what we do. In the past, how it was done was, as we talk about, command and control. The old way was, do what you're told. We go into the work and everybody does what they're told. I even worked at an office and they were saying, you don't bring your troubles to work. And we all do. But you just go to work and that's what you do. But today, it's changed. We're having a shift going on. And we have models. We've created models on how to deal with the differences. We have all kinds of models. And we have models like Scrum. And what they're doing is that they're helping people to organize to work together. But we're not only changing the way we work. We're changing the way we live. And that's what's going on right now. It's a whole shift. It's not just work, it's the way we live. I have that on my business card. So when I've made changes, it's affected my life. It's a mentality, it's a state of mind. We're changing our minds as we work someplace else, and as a result, we're changing our perspectives. Now, has anybody said, oh, he's in his comfort zone. He's not changing. Or has anybody said that about you? Oh, everybody can say that. Yeah, okay, all right. Nobody's ever said that he's in the comfort zone. I know I have in the past. Oh, he's in his comfort zone. Now, that's very judgmental as far as I'm concerned. And I heard in the conference when we were up in Tallinn, people started talking about patterns. And that's what it's all about. It's not about, it's not like I decide and I'm in really a mess and I say, I'm in a mess, I'm really in a pile of shit here, and I'm going to stay here. It's comfortable for me. I love to be here. I love to be in this mess. It's a brain pattern. It's a state of mind. We're there. It's developed. Okay, so if I go back to all those questions I asked you, it has nothing to do with people coming into work and having to want to be in that situation. That's the way they are. And that's what we need to begin to learn to do, is start accepting people for what they are. Now, my question to you is, can we change the patterns? Now, what are patterns? Now, I work with the brain, and I've been working with the brain for 15 years. I'm not any smarter, but anyways, I work with the brain for 15 years. And what I do know is that we have patterns. And what these patterns are is neurons. They're pathways. And they develop. You ever heard hardwired? Our brains are hardwired. And can we change these patterns? Can we? Exactly. It's very difficult. But yes, we can do it. So, what I want to talk to you today is what I want to do is I want to depersonalize the situation. I want to depersonalize and saying, instead of saying somebody is in their comfort zone, I can say, oh, he's got a specific brain pattern. I get away from judging. I start to understand. You see, I've got to work with people. We have to understand. So what I want to do is that we need to understand this thing up here. Sometimes we just think it just happens. People are the way they are, you know. But we have, our brains function a certain way. And what we have is and I work with the brain, and I do this thing called brain maps, and I look at brain patterns, and then I sometimes change them. So what we have is I can put an electrode here, okay? And that's what I see. It just measures. And it's measuring right here, my brain, when it's functioning and thinking, it's producing a brainwave right there. Now, what's made up in that is a variety of brainwaves. Okay? And I'll show you what type of brain frequencies we can produce. We can produce a delta. And delta is this, it measures 40 hertz. Everybody understand electricity? Everybody understand electricity? The waves go like that. That's frequency. So there's 4 of those within a measured period of time. And when somebody has a lot of delta and their eyes are open, they can be asleep with their eyes open. I'm sure you've seen some people like that. It's like, hello, anybody home? Theta. Theta is this issue of concentration, and you've heard of people having concentration issues. And we try to help them to be more focused. Or some people, when they meditate, they go into their theta. They try to get deep. They're still kind of awake, though. Alpha. Everybody's heard of alpha. There's alpha Romeo. There's alpha this, and there's alpha that. And that measures 8 to 11, relaxed, reflective, open, and awareness. Beta, 12 to 18. Now that's the concentration one. And what we learned a long time ago is there's a strip across the head. If you're concentrating, you're producing these frequencies here. And then this high beta, I got it, pretty bold there, 19 to 40. That's the high alert, anxious, busy. You know, those type of guys, you know. They're really full of anxiety and you can't stop. They can't stop, they can't go to sleep. So, what happens when you are in your high beta? And I want to take a look at the two, high beta and this, and it's called parasympathetic and alpha. So I want to tell you about the lion. I want you to imagine the lion in Africa. And he's sitting underneath the tree. But his eyes are open and he's looking around. Then a gazelle, his lunch goes hopping by. And he's up. And he's going after that gazelle. He grabs the gazelle, wrestles him down and starts eating it. And then he goes back underneath the tree again. What he's done, he's gone from his alpha, very open and very aware. And then he's gone into his beta, very focused, doing the task. He's focused. Finish the task, going back into his alpha again. What a wonderful ability that this guy has. He can turn it on and turn it off at will. Cats are fantastic. They did the first brain research using cats. They're wonderful. So I want you to take, back. I told you I'm not IT. Down here, I want you to have a look at this area down here. What happens when somebody is in this high beta? It's a high beta state. They become very narrow. They have a narrow perspective, narrowly focused. They're detailed, they're busy, they're negative, they're fearful, they're aggressive. So nowadays, I don't look at somebody and say, boy, he's a jerk, all right? Or he's in his comfort zone, or whatever. I don't judge them anymore. I can be open and I can see. I get away from judgment. Then the other side, that's the objective, is open, clear, flexible, aware, positive, calm, caring. Isn't that a nice state to be in? Wouldn't you like to be in that? Okay? So, can we change our patterns? What I'm going to show you, and I do a brain mapping, and what we do is we take a cap and we put it on, and there's 19 or 21 electrodes, and then we can take a picture of your brain, and it comes out, and I'll show you how it comes out. It's really cool. Now, the psychological and the medical business use it to say, this is what's wrong, and they try and find what's wrong in the brain. But what I like to do is I like to look at it and say, okay, this is where I can improve. What can I fix? And you can do that. So what we're going to see is the brain map of a war vet. Now, what's really important here is this part here. It's called the high beta. And that's that PTSD. Everybody ever hear of PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome? Okay? Have you heard of that? All right, post-traumatic. So this is what this person had right here. Post-traumatic stress syndrome. This is the way they were. Very, full of anxiety. Then they did some training and some work and so on. And you can see this is the same person right down here. The high beta is gone. Okay? This is what's cool. This is what's fantastic. This is what I love. Is that you can change. This person changed. We're not stuck. This is not it. You're just not who you are, and that's it. You have the ability to change. I think that's the key that you've got to grab onto. There's no excuse. You can change. So we can change our brain patterns. Remember, brain patterns are what we call brain states or personalities or whatever. We can change the patterns. Cool. How? Anybody have any ideas how we can do this? Wakey, wakey.
Learn meditation.
Good one. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Changing behavior.
Yeah. Change your behavior, but how do you do that?
Make other experiences more positive.
Yeah. How do you do that? There's how. We say, this is what I've spent 2.5 days in conferences, and I hear people saying, this is what you should be doing. This is the way you should be. And I hear, brain conferences and all kinds of stuff, how great it would be. But I'm saying, okay, but how do you change?
Well, if you're already focused, why not focus on the fact that you know that this state would bring you anger and fearful, and then you're focused on the fact that you are changing your own behavior. And then you can control yourself.
Well, sorry, but the wrong word that you've used is control. I don't want to get too deep into this. The problem is control, because when you try to force something, you become focused on it, you make it worse than what it is. He was talking about meditation, and it's a good process. It's very good. And that's what we'll get to a little bit later, but that's kind of part the answer. But you commit to, there you go. Jeff, wake up, this is it. This is the answer right there. Commit to a model like Scrum. That's what it's all about. You see, we are affected by our environment. Okay, so we get involved with a model. So we go to work, we're affected by our environment. And you change you. You change your pattern. You have two issues here. We are affected by our environment, and we have to learn to take our lives into our hands and be able to affect ourselves. It's very simple, extremely simple. Now, what I want to do is get back to the working model here. So, single tasking model. Rest, task, rest. Time is not important here. So we have rest, task, rest. Pretty cool, huh? If life would be so simple. By the way, this is my model. I designed that all by myself. I'm so proud of that. And you can see at the bottom it's copyrighted too, huh? Boy, oh boy. Now, what are the states of mind during a task? So we're going to look at frequency. And then we're going to look at the time. And the rest period, when that line was underneath the tree, the rest period was in the alpha. The beta is when somebody's on task. They're focused. They're in a very nice state, very focused, doing their job. And then we have, ta-da, high beta. That's a killer. That's that high anxiety stuff. And that's what a lot of people, and that is a major, major problem today in Western societies, especially the United States. Anxiety, it's a major problem. People can't turn off at night, they can't go to sleep, you know, they wake up late. I think some of you might be aware of that, you know. The problem, though, is the multitasking. And they have found that multitasking is not good. And this is why. Geez, there I go again. Yeah, that was the stuff I wanted to show you. So cool. You see here, what we're doing is we're doing the multitasking in a high anxiety state, time, and without any breaks. It's constant. And what happens is, and that's what we have burnout. That's where we have rust out. That's when we can't take it anymore. So we have to learn how we need to be able to stop. So we have crash or burnout, and the mind just sort of says, oh, finished. Can't take it anymore. So the best thing is to have multitasking model with rest. And that's mine too, copyrighted, John Styffe, okay. So, rest, task, rest, task, rest, task. So I'm getting someplace here, really, okay? Bear with me. Now, I created a model called self-sustainability. Way back when I was learning all about Agile and stuff, I was talking to a guy, and he was a professor in forestry. And I was talking to him at the time about sustainability, and he says, John, nobody knows what sustainability means. You see, I used to work with people to try and get them to stay on task, to be sustainable, to sustain their attention. And he said, no, John, it's wrong. Forests, whatever, need time, they need breaks, okay, to heal, to re-energize. We all need that, the forests need that, the world needs that. And that's what's happening. We're not getting that. So then I started thinking, I said, well, this Agile stuff, they talk about retrospectives. That's pretty cool. So they have times where they kind of turn off. And so self-sustainability, and I thought, well, geez, self-sustainability. What I need to do is learn, because I'm focusing on the person, we need to take our lives into our own hands. So when we are in a Scrum team, we got to stop waiting for the other person and stop blaming the other person. We have to take on that responsibility self. I need to look at myself as a very valuable resource. Each person in that Scrum team is a valuable resource. And you have to realize that about yourself, and you have to learn how to take care of yourself, or else you will burn out. You will crap out. Guaranteed. So this is again my model, self-sustainability. It's mine, mine, mine. See? So, what are the benefits of these rest periods? Okay? You will re-energize, you will heal, you will rest. You will have awareness and the ability to be retrospective, to be reflective. Because when you're down in that state, that bottom state in the retrospectives, you have clarity. You will be able to look back, when you're down in that rest state, you look back on the previous work and the task with a different perspective. That's what's so cool. It's a brain pattern. So I'm changing, I'm being flexible with my brain pattern. I'm changing from a high to a lower brain pattern, and then it changes my perspective. And you will be aware of what part you played. Your responsibility. You will be able to look at yourself. When you are in that high focus, narrowly focused, you cannot see anything. Your focus is like this, you cannot see anything outside. You can't even look at yourself. As a result, you will understand what the other person needs. And that's a key. You need to know what the other person needs. You need to change you need to be open. If you are a product owner and you've got a narrow state of mind, we're talking about vision. We've got to open that up. You will also improve your ability to respond appropriately. Instead of giving a very quick, nasty response or an impatient response, you can learn how to respond better. Communicate better, and you will change your patterns, thus your state of mind, and thus your perspective. That's the deal. So, multitasking, retrospective, sprint, retrospective, sprint, retrospective. It's so cool. These guys that put together this agile stuff were really on the ball. They were smart guys. They're talking about doing a retrospective. Here, when you're done the retrospective, you can look back at your task. So, I hadn't left these arrows here. Okay. Agile. That's my interpretation. So, my focus a lot has been on the retrospective. That's my focus. And I've got mini or maxi. What you can do is you can do mini retrospectives. You can take time during the day and do a mini retrospective. You can do it 30 seconds. Turn off, relax, change your brain pattern, change your state. You'll change your perspective. At the very beginning, you may have to practice more so that you can learn how to do it. And the key issue in retrospectives is that we stay in the busy state of mind. What we're trying to do is get away from the busy state of mind. So, what do we want to do? What's the whole objective of this? We want to change our brain patterns. That's the goal. It's simple. We want to break the patterns. And that's what we're doing now with Scrum. We're changing the pattern of business. And how? We replace the old patterns with new patterns. It's so simple. You know, it really is. And how? Again, how? It's through practice. That's it. When you want to learn how to do something new, you got to practice, and you got to practice, and you practice. When you learn how to play tennis, or you want to be a great tennis player, if you want to be a great musician, you've got to practice until you become the best. And this is what you're going to have to do at work. Now, we practice, we train. So, Scrum. What state of mind or pattern gets in the way of being a great Scrum product owner? Anybody got any answers?
The alpha.
The alpha doesn't
The
get
alpha
in.
state.
No, the beta state.
The beta state.
Yeah. But what is it? What prevents me from being a great product owner? What is the objective? Okay, you've got it. Exactly. Exactly. Give them a reward after. Okay, that's the point. What state of mind or pattern gets in the way of being a great Scrum Master? Tell me. I don't know. I just only read up on the product owner. Somebody tell me what gets in the way of being a great Scrum Master. Think. Answer. What do you think? What would you think? Somebody already came up with all he did was answer once and he got the answer. Anybody have an idea? What would prevent you from becoming a great Scrum master?
Bad listening skills, poor communication.
Exactly. Yeah. And he has
lack of empathy, which is
yeah. Okay. What would be the state of, or the pattern that gets in the way of being part of the team? What would get in the way? What kind of pattern? What is it? What is it? We've already had some answers. It's the patterns. It's our patterns. It's the way we think. It's how we look at things. Go ahead.
Being afraid of change.
Oh, wonderful. Exactly. Fear, right? So, what does the product owner need to do? What kind of a pattern, what kind of a state of mind does he need to be in? What's he doing? Starts with V. Starts with V. One of his main things he's got to do. That's the word, one of the first sentences I read in the manual about being a product owner. Vision. Right? Does everybody agree? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Boy, I tell you. Okay. What is he needs to be in a state of mind. It's a pattern. Because he's got to create the vision. If he is in a negative, narrow state of mind, he's not going to be able to create that vision. So it's before, if you imagine in the old days and the other and product managers, there was a little bit more of this doing and giving regulations and the command and the control, right? That's a more narrow state of mind. Now we're changing the whole thing. We're going over to an open state of mind where we've got to practice being alpha. We've got to open up our vision. That is an alpha state, right? I'm not suggesting that we have to walk around like we're smoking grass all the time. What I'm suggesting is that we open up our vision. We have to see. We have to be aware of what the customer wants. We have to, and then we have to go and convey it. We have to create the stories. So as a product owner, I have to be a type of person. So I'm having to change. I'm going to have to change. And if I change to that type of person that is open and flexible, is it not going to affect my whole life? I can't be just this open, flexible guy at work and then go home and be a real son of a gun, can I? Or vice versa. I can't be a son of a gun and come to work and be nice at home and and then go. I'm going to have to change the way I live. Make sense? Okay, so it's what you're doing is you're getting involved here with this whole new way of life. So, the vision. Okay. Now, I love this quote. It's my favorite quote. It's from a friend of mine at Google. And I was talking about some stuff he had to change and stuff like this, just what we're talking about. He says, John, I know what I have to do, but I just don't do it. That's the crunch. There are things that I have to do. I do kind of like a meditation. I hate using that word meditation because it makes me look like a monk or something, What I do is I do brain calming. All right, I get up in the morning and I'm, the white hair, I'm a little bit older now. Yeah, and bladder doesn't work so well, so I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So then my eyes are like this, and I say, oh, geez, and then I start thinking. So I sit down, I do some breathing stuff, and I calm right down. And it's so cool. And it's amazing. Sometimes what happens is, all of a sudden, everything becomes so clear. And I'm sitting down and I'm writing. I'm going up and down. I get a piece of paper and I write. Then I go back. I sit down, and I have to get back up again. The ideas are just flowing. It's so cool. And it's how I relate to people. Everything. It's amazing though. But so I'll go back to sleep. And sometimes I say, oh, well, I'll remember tomorrow morning. It's okay. Then I go back to bed and I have a sleep. And I wake up in the morning and I'm kind of going, what was that? I can't remember what it is. So I have to write it down. But that's because by the time I get up in the morning, my wife is up. She's nagging at me a little bit. And I get into my defensive mode. I'm in a different state of mind, more narrowly focused. And I've left that open focus. All right? So sometimes what I have to do is when she's nagging at me, I kind of go to another room and go, But it's all about relationships, But it's about me taking my life into my hands. So what does it take to get motivated? What does it take? You can go in and you can take a course and you can become a Scrum Master. You can become a product owner. But you got to get motivated. You just don't come in and take a course and all of a sudden you're a great product owner. That's a change of life. You're going to have to learn. What does it take? It all takes a supportive environment. And that's what you get with Scrum. That's the whole idea. You get support from the environment, and the other side is the trade-off. You give it back. But I don't think about what I'm going to get. I don't want to touch that, but we need some structure and some guidance. Now, when I come home from work at night, I have my keys. And I put the keys on a hook. If I don't put the keys on the hook, I lose them. How about you? Get up in the morning, you can't find your keys. So I have a hook. I need the hook. You see, I'm not perfect. I'm a human being. I'm very imperfect. So I need some structure and guidance in my life. Now, I complain a little bit about my wife, but she gives me some guidance sometimes. And she tells me, kind of keeps me on the road. So this is what we need to do with Scrum. We need guidance. I need some structure. It's nice. Sure, we have the open and self-organizing stuff, but I really do need some guidance. So as a product owner, this is what I'm going to be doing. I need to give people guidance. I need to be in that state of mind. I need to have that brain pattern. And what we're doing is we're getting a trade-off. That's the whole idea. It's so cool about the team. We're all helping each other. And commitment. You need to make that commitment. You just don't go in and say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do a little bit of it. If you're going to become a product owner, become a good product owner. Do whatever it takes to become a good product owner. It's you. Don't wait for somebody to say that you take the course and I know all that stuff. It's living it. It's making that commitment. So when I changed my life, I made the changes. I made a commitment. But there was times when I didn't make the commitment, I said, oh, I'll do a little bit of this and I'll do a bit of that. I didn't go anywhere. I bumbled along for a long time, and I finally said, okay, I'll do it their way. And then when I did, it worked. Now, there's all kinds of models. There's the Kanban, there's Scrum, there's all kinds of them. All you need to do is make a commitment to one of the models and work it. And it'll work for you. And I'm not doing this and promoting Scrum so that I can be called back and do a speech again. What I'm doing is I believe this. Make a commitment to something. You're in here with Scrum. It's cool. Courage. I mentioned in our announcement, it was courage. It takes huge courage to change. Big time. Because in that process, in that learning process, I'm also going to have to look at myself and say, what did I do wrong? We go back to the retrospectives. So cool. These guys really had it done. They make this opportunity where we can start looking back on the mistakes that we've made. rather than just sort of looking forward and being afraid of mistakes. We have to look back at our mistakes. That's the only way we're going to learn. You hear this all the time, but it's so important. And they've incorporated that into this agile, this retrospective. It's so cool. Time. We have to be nice to ourselves. One of the reasons why Google hired me and they liked what I was doing was that I presented to them a program. I didn't say, you're going to come and learn about this stuff and you're going to be this type of a person in a weekend workshop. What they were finding, they were doing weekend workshops, and by Wednesday, people were forgetting all the stuff. So there's all kinds of coaches like me who are out there doing all kinds of weekend workshops, making all kinds of money. Because people are hopping around from course to course to course to course to course to course to course, not committing and making all kinds of money. Yeah? So what I did was I presented a program which takes time. Because what we're doing is we're changing brain patterns. We're becoming new type of people, right? And sometimes I say changing my brain patterns is like almost growing a new thumb. Right? It's not a mind or something magical that happens. We have connections. The neurons, there's billions of them, but they have connections. Violinists, they've studied their brains, right? And they have found that they're strong, very strong, different type of brain right there. Because our right is responsible for our left, vice versa. So they were very strong in this area. They had practiced and they had exercised this part of the brain. But it takes time. Yogi guys, I mean, they're so cool. They can control their bodies, but it took time. I'm not going to get to become a yogi, and I don't want to be. I just want to change myself a little bit, but time. And desire. Now, one of the problems in our society today, and I have all these people come to me, and they're talking about, they sit down, they say, John, I have to, I need to do this, I have to do that, and I need to do this. And I say, just a minute. What do you want to do? And I get a blank stare. I don't know about you. I went to university because I kind of had to. It was kind of nice to have that piece of paper and say I've got an education and I got a BA and stuff like that. And I was talking with my colleague who got a business degree, and he says, and we were talking to each other sometime, we said, are you using your degree? No. And he said, are you using your degree? No. We weren't using our degrees, but we went to school because it was something we have to do. And today, and it's the same thing in our lives. Oh, I have to, I need to, I have to, and oh, jeez. And that's what anxiety is about. That's what we go to bed and we're thinking at night, I need. What about desire? What do you want? If you want to be a product owner, it's a want to. It's so cool, isn't it? And then if I want to do something, it becomes easy. Very, very easy. But if it's a have to and I need to, man, it's tough. So what do we got here? What's next? The tools. Now, how do we change? And he talked about how do we change? How are we going to change ourselves? So I mentioned, we can become, we surround ourselves with the right people. We're affected by our environment. But there's other tools such as meditation. There's other tools such as prayer. There's all kinds of tools that you can use to help yourself to become better product owners, better scrum masters. There's all kinds of tools. You make use of those tools. I have a tool, and I do the neurofeedback and the biofeedback. I had to put a plug in for myself, okay? And so I help people to become more calm and more focused. I can put people very quickly into a state of mind. It's through practice, it's through training, it's non-invasive, and it's just through practice. If you want to do it, you can do it on your own through yoga, you can do it through meditation, or you can do mini retrospectives. But it's practicing those mini retrospectives, because then you'll be in a state of mind, as a product owner, you'll be able to create the vision. You'll create that alpha. So, let's see what else. Now, what I wanted to do is I'm putting a plug in for the Styffe satellite very quickly. The Styffe is a new thing, and that's why I got involved with the Styffe thing. Was we were saying we're going to be working differently. That was the whole idea. So it's a whole umbrella of Stowe's people, and we meet every so often to talk about doing business better. So I thought I'd mention that to you.